Hello everyone, you are watching the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage channel. I appreciate it if you are. I'm showing you guys a machine. This is one of three machines that I have left that I'm going to be restoring and getting ready to find new homes for as we get in toward the winter time. It's going to be getting really cold here soon, and due to the distancing restrictions, I'm showing the sewing machines that I have ready to people outdoors, and so unfortunately, I'm going to have to slow down the uh, the sewing machine offerings at least for a while. And these three will be listed for sale once they're overhauled. I haven't even overhauled them yet. I've got this. I've got a Singer 201, and I also have a two-tone turquoise white sewing machine from the early 60s, one of my favorite models. But you are looking at this model. This is the Singer 185K. Now, you guys have seen me do videos before on the Singer 185J. And if you remember, when I was talking about the 185Js, they have kind of a light green pistachio mint colored two-tone. There's like a light and a deeper shade of that green, but they have the same exact shape, and in fact, they are the same exact machine. But the ones that I've had, most of the ones I've had that I've done videos on that I've restored, those models said 185J, and J meant they were built in the St. John's factory in Canada. This model, by the way, was built in many places. Singer had factories all over the world, and so many of their machines were successful they would build them in multiple plants. But if you recall, when I was talking about the 185J, I don't have one here, or I put it right next to this one you guys could see. It's essentially a color change. The 185Js were the new and improved version, or should I say really the restyled version, of the good old Ironside Singer 99. So when you see Singer 99s, the Singer 99s, just as this model, are the black, more classically styled version of this same machine. The 99s, of course, are a top-loading bobbin, or a pancake bobbin. People have different names for it. And they load from the top, and they're drop-in style. And this machine, or the 99 I should say, was based on the Singer 66, but the 99 is the three-quarter version, right? And that made it portable. It's still as heavy as a bowling ball, but it's for that time it was considered the portable machine, unless you were willing to pay for the Singer featherweights or the 301s. But this is a good old-fashioned, just tough as a tractor machine. The difference, of course, is that when it says 185K, it was built in the factory in Great Britain, in Clydebank, Kilbowie, Scotland, which was once Singer's biggest factory, the biggest factory the Singer ever built. And so it's not unusual to see sewing machines that say, and this one says it right here, if I can get the camera right, I'll show it to you guys. It says "Made in Great Britain" right on the pillar of the machine here. Made in Great Britain. Now, that's not unusual to see in either the US or Canada, because Singer would source machines from any of its factories and could easily export them or import them, as the case was. And they would do this because electricals could always be sourced in the country they were selling the machine in. And so you may have a Singer 99K, a 66K, 201K, and there's a long list. And if it has North American electrical equipment, then you can use it in North America because they were exported for sale here. And I'm sure there were machines in Canada, the US may have been exported to other countries. Who knows? Singer was a massive company once upon a time. But when I got this machine, it did not come with a plug or a foot pedal or a cord. All it came with was what you see here, the head. It's got the motor in the back, the tried and true BT motor that Singer built for decades, and it has the three-prong plug over here that you can see on the side. And this machine, of course, is in two shades of brown. It's like you can call it different names. They wouldn't have used latte back when this was made, but I'm guessing I would just call it beige and brown. And I see this color scheme more often in United Kingdom models than I do in North America. Some of the last 201s that were made in Great Britain were also this color scheme. But the reason I wanted to show you guys this, in addition to this is part of my purchasing series, is that it's a good reminder that you should never assume because something, so many machines were made in the United Kingdom and could be used or exported for use and sale and use in Canada and the US. This one could have been, but it wasn't. Now, well, how do you know? Well, it's always important to check the motor on any sewing machine that you get, no matter where it says it's made. And it would be easy to kind of just assume, well, I bought it here in Ontario. Surely this machine should be, it was sold here, right? Well, when I got it, first of all, I had not seen this particular case before. Those of you who know these machines will recognize this is an older, worn grass cloth covering down below. And Singer used to put a lot of their 99s, the black forerunner of this machine, which is basically, again, mechanically the same, only the body shape is different and the color is different. But they would use a case that was lovely. It had kind of like a cherry red vinyl mixed with grass cloth. Very nice. But this one got my attention because it had this little extension, right? And when you put the case top on to store it, of course, you fold this extension up and it's made of wood. I thought, well, that's nice. And then I saw the actual cover for the case. Now, I had not seen a cover and a case that looked like this. Let's pull back so you guys can see the full. I hadn't seen one before. And the other thing that I got my attention was the fact that this machine uses a key. This case has a locking key. Now, I've seen plenty of these on earlier cases, the bentwood, those beautiful waterfall style bentwood cases being the most obvious. And I believe the other grass cloth case for the 99 also, I can't remember, honest to God, if it came with a key or not, because at some point they transitioned to latches. You have these big metal latches that hold the top to the lid when you're carrying it. But I was not expecting to see a key in the traditional lock on a machine this machine would have come out around 1957, 1958. It was in production for a few years in North America in the green versions of the 185Js. The production years, I will have to go back. I can't swear to the exact numbers, but the point here is that I had not seen this before. And even if I had, I would be wise to check the motor, and here's why. So there's a little note, there's a card that's been carefully attached to the top of this case, and the card says, let's get you guys closer so you can see it along with me. It says, this sewing machine needs a something transformer, and then part of the lettering is almost faded here, but I believe it says English machine, C over. Speed control inside. Well, there was no speed control with it, but that's not a problem because when I first saw this, I thought, well, maybe the owner, somebody put that on there because they were confusing the name transformer with speed control. Some people don't always know what to call a foot control or a knee control. Anything that controls speed on a sewing machine, people might use that term. But that was not the case here, guys, because as I always like to do, I wanted to check the motor. You can look at several places. You can look at a foot controller, but you can also look at a motor. The motor is the most important thing to check when you're not sure. Now, if I had a cord like they use in the United Kingdom, then I might have seen something like this. Now, this came from a different machine, not the machine you're looking at. This came off of a 201, I believe, that was set up for use in the UK or somewhere in Europe because it has a plug that's designed to work with their electrical system. Okay, so that's the first sign. If you see this, you really should be paying attention, because you have a machine that cannot be plugged into North American electrical outlets for home use. So I didn't see this because, remember, I didn't have a cord with it and there was no foot pedal. Now, what does that mean? Well, I go and I look behind. I want to look at the motor. It looks like the Singer motors I've been, really enjoying using for quite a few years. This is one of Singer's tried and true designs. But if we get close in, you guys will notice that it says 210 to 230 volts, okay? Made in Great Britain. The problem isn't just that it says made in Great Britain, because I've seen British-made motors that were for 110. So remember, Singer would maximize their production all around the world, and they made things and were shipping things all over the planet. They would open plants, close plants. It's hard to even understand how it was all done. But the point here is that this is why you see transformer needed. So what are the options? I can certainly get a transformer, but I don't even have the cord, and of course I would need a way to connect the transformer to a US system to make sure that this motor could function on a 110 voltage system. And I don't have that, and I'm not a big fan of transformers. I know some of you have taken especially British spec featherweights, and people have used transformers with those. Transformers are not a long-term solution. Short-term, yes, but they don't completely prevent damage, in my opinion, to electrical devices when they're being used on a voltage system they weren't designed for. So what does this mean? Well, if this had been an obscure brand, or maybe it was a European brand where many things are proprietary, not everything, things like motors, for example, this could have ended up being a very expensive project. However, it's not, because this is a Singer, and I've made a video saying why I really think you should look at a straight stitch Singer for your first project if you're interested in learning how to overhaul or restore vintage sewing machines. If it's just your machine, whatever machine you have, you can find someone to restore it or learn to do so yourself. But if you have the option of saying, I'm going to go out and look for a machine I can restore, work on, I might sell it or gift it to someone, straight stitch Singers are a great way to go. So let's say you bought this and you didn't know it says Singer, you have no reason to check, you get it home, you're like, oh, do not run or plug in anything that is specified for 210 to 230 volts in a North American system. Do not do it. It will damage the motor, and it could create damage beyond what I can even imagine. So it's not safe to do. Don't do it. What are we going to do then? Oh, well, do I have to toss the machine or use it for parts? Oh, no, not at all. This machine is a great candidate for restoration. It's compact, it's in a case, but it is one strong little tractor of machine. You can sew some really dense stuff with these, and I've demonstrated that with the 185J versions, which is essentially a color change. So what I need to do is, I already know I'm going to need to replace this motor with another, but that's okay. Motors are not expensive when you're dealing with vintage Singers. Now, obviously, you probably can even see this in the video shot. This old belt has seen better days, and it's going to get replaced. That's an easy fix. I can get a cord and a foot pedal very easily for this machine, and of course, the issue here is, as you can see, I've still got my 3-prong outlet. The problem I'm going to be dealing with is not so much the terminal, the Singer called it the 3-prong terminal where your plug goes in. The problem, of course, is the motor. So I'm going to look in my stash to see if I have a BT motor or some other motor or some other bracket that I can connect. But we are definitely going to bring this machine back, and we're going to give it a new or replacement motor of some sort. So I already know it needs a belt. No big deal. It needs a motor. In the case of a good old-fashioned Singer, that's not an issue. And anyway, that's kind of where we are as far as this machine goes. So again, I knew that this machine did not have a cord or a foot pedal, and I bought it, and I knew it was a British-made machine. But again, I've seen plenty of those, but it's unusual, right? It's not common that this will happen to you. Sometimes you'll see a machine that was made in Germany but not sold here. It was sold in Germany to someone who immigrated and brought it with them. And that's exactly what happened here. I had a 201K, it was a year or so ago, and I restored it, and I had to totally change its electricals because it was set up for 210, and it had a transformer and it had a cord like this, and I don't want transformers. I'd rather have it set up for North American voltage. So, but other than that, we've got our little stitch length control here. My check spring's looking good. So I'll be going in and basically treating this machine the same way I have with the 185Js. You guys have seen me do a lot of videos on those. But for this one, I wanted to focus on the fact that I'm going to need to find a motor for it. And I'll show you guys, we have some options here depending on the bracket. So when you have a sewing machine that has a rear mounted motor that's easy to access, that's awesome, right? Remember with the Bernina and the Pfaffs, you have to go underneath. It's a big rigmarole to get to the motor. Well, not with these. So I have a couple of options. I got to see if I have a spare BT motor, which they are fantastic motors. Not high amperage, but it doesn't matter. They are beasts. This particular motor is designed to go with a certain bracket. So if I don't have one of those, then I may even have to look for a different bracket. They make retrofit kits. You can go and buy motors and belts to put new ones onto things like these old Singers. So I'll have to look and see what I have. But the main point here is I cannot run this motor. But this is such a great little machine. It's just a little powerhouse for sewing. Had someone recently ask me, I was showing off the Singer 403 that I have restored and done videos on, you guys have seen, and someone said, hey, can you sew leather with that? And leather hides? And I said, you can do some garment leather, but honest to God, the 403's greatest abilities, I don't believe, lie in leather. It's a slant shank machine. I don't like using slant angles with leathers and very dense fabric. Some of you have, but I really prefer just a simple, straight stitch, vertical needle machine like this. There are a number of Singers that fall into this category and other brands as well. But there you go, guys. Just a little heads up when you're buying a machine. If you can see the motor, take a look at it. And just see what it says. And it's not always where it was made, whether it was made in Great Britain or Canada or the US or France or wherever. Look at the volts and make sure that it is North American, unless you are watching this video and you are not in North America, because you don't want to mix the voltage. The good news is there's tons of motors I should be able to get to replace this one. And because it's a Singer and these motors were made for generations, and even newer motors I can get if I want. They just are not that expensive. So if this happens to you, do not despair. You are not looking at an expensive mistake. And some of the parts, right, the little brush cap areas, some of the parts and screws I can salvage from these motors to use for others, but I don't really have a market or a use for these because, again, the whole North American system does not work on this voltage. If there was an inexpensive way, I could maybe sell it to someone in the UK, but it's, again, they're going to have plenty of motors over there to pick from without paying for shipping from North America. So that's kind of silly. So I'll just hold it for parts, but I will tape it and mark it as 220 do not use, right? So anyway, this is kind of a situation you want to be aware for. If this had come with a plug like this, it might have been more obvious to any of you who are new at buying these machines, just like, oh, this must not be for our system. But because I didn't get a cord, and I have the 3-pin terminal, which is the same 3-pin terminal you get on North American machines, if I didn't look closely at this, I could have taken one of my new plugs and foot pedals, plugged her right in, and I could have really hurt the electrical system in my house. I could have destroyed the motor, or caused any other number of problems. It could be dangerous. Like I say, I don't mix voltages, and I really think it's important to always check any machine you're getting. 99% of the time, it's going to be North American. But, you know, someone had put that little tag on there. I always like to inspect my machines. What have I got? Do I have the original motor? Did somebody change it? Has somebody done anything to the wiring? Just kind of give it a look over and see what you see. Never make assumptions about any machine that you are rescuing. But again, the good news is this is not going to be difficult to fix, and we're going to get this old girl up and running, and it should, like just almost every straight stitch Singer I have ever touched, it will come back to life. They are very forgiving, and we should be able to crank out some awesome stitches with this. So anyway, stay tuned. Just thought I would show this to you guys. It's an unusual find. It's only happened maybe 3 times, 2 or 3 times in the 9 years I've gotten machines like this. Some of you may have Swiss Berninas or German Pfaffs that were brought over by a person. They were not shipped for sale in North America. You always want to check them. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate you hanging in there with the channel as we are going into autumn, getting into, I don't know when winter officially starts, but anyway, you are looking at one of the last 3 machines I will be overhauling for the year 2020. And as these machines are sold, the 403 is for sale. I'm keeping the Neki BU Mira. It's because we're keeping the table and that gorgeous big desk, and I didn't want to part them. I didn't want to separate them, and I may have used for some zigzag, and I love all these machines, but there's something about the Neki that has my attention at the moment, but who knows? I may sell it next year. I've said this before, and I always find someone who needs the machine more than I do. Anyway, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you have not, consider doing so, and you can click the little bell symbol, and it will notify you when a new video is posted. Take care, everyone, and we will see you soon.